Are we influencers?
I, I don't know, man.
And we were all like, what's gonna happen? Like,
Yeah,
what are they warning us about? And
Meat and potatoes
yeah.
boys out here, like they're gonna whoop your ass.
yeah,
Zeus is actually he's transitioning. Um,
Okay, ready? Ready?
Hello, and welcome to the Friends of Zeus podcast, episode 136.
Yep.
Tonight we're still Zeusless.
Zeusless. The friends of Zeusless.
The Friends of Zeus. Zeus is actually he's transitioning
Mhm.
to a new job, and so he's been doing some stuff in training. So he's
But I think he
been out for a
castrated
while.
himself anyway,
Yeah,
even
we
though
think
it's
so. We think it could be horrible. But it's the three of us tonight. Jack and Dana may be joining us, but we're not sure. Tonight we're going to do a little bit of a round robin news episode. Talk about some stories that aren't really necessarily juicy enough to do a whole episode, or we don't know enough about them to do a whole episode, even if they are juicy. And we figured we would start. Tom's got one to start with that's literally just breaking today, and then we'll go on from there. And take it away, Tom. It's all yours.
yeah, man. Thank you. It's history in the making, really. I don't know if this has happened before, but the Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, was ousted from his position as Speaker today. They took a vote. This kind of came up after the shutdown battle that happened over the weekend, where there was a clean bill, CR, that was passed, and some Republicans were not happy about it. And the ringleader, Matt Gaetz from Florida. So Matt had said, if you don't shut down the government, I'm going to submit a bill to kick you out as Speaker. And he lived up to his word and did that. And so they did the vote. It was kind of dramatic. If you were watching along, I was wondering how it was going to, because the House, the Democrats and Republicans is so close in the House. So every time they vote on something, you never know which way the Plinko chip is going to fall. But it came down, there were 216 votes yay to oust Kevin McCarthy and 210 votes nay. And there were 232 members that were in the building, but some of them didn't vote. Pelosi did not vote, which I thought was odd. And I don't think McCarthy voted either, because he doesn't normally vote anyway. But so 8 Republicans voted to kick McCarthy out. And then all of the Democrats that voted to kick him out.
Yeah.
As they would, because this is just, for the Democrats, this is just an invitation to chaos. And if the Republicans can fall on their face and wallow in chaos, this is good for the Democrats. So they were all too happy to say, yeah, sure, we'll vote him out. And then the 8 Republicans, and I don't have the names because this just happened today, but I know, so obviously Gaetz was one of them, and probably the staunch Trump supporting Republicans like Marjorie Taylor and maybe Boebert and those guys.
Yeah, I don't know if
probably
Green,
the 8.
I don't know if Green did. I know Mace did. I know Nancy Mace did. We should probably look that up. You're
Sure,
right.
one of us.
I know Ken Buck voted yes. I saw his name on there. Yeah,
What did they call themselves? They have like a little caucus.
It's not the Freedom Caucus. That's the main conservative caucus. I think there's
Was it
something
the
else.
holdouts from when McCarthy back in January was voted in as a speaker? There were this small band of holdouts.
Yes, it
I'm
was
assuming it's the same group that's
same
behind this.
same group. So they kind of paint themselves, true or not, I'm not getting into that, but they kind of paint themselves as real reformers as opposed to people that just talk a lot. In other words, they want Congress, the House of Representatives specifically, to go back to law making or precedent and rules that they used to use like back before the 90s, the 1990s, instead of, and actually voting on the 12 appropriations bills that make up the federal budget, as opposed to just using continuing resolutions and omnibus bills and kicking the can down the road and having members avoid any sort of responsibility. So it's I agree with the premise. It's just a matter of like, how far do you take it? And we'll get into our opinions on it, but I did see, Tom, it is unprecedented. It has not happened before. This is from what I read, unless what I read was incorrect. And it is crazy because you're talking about a group of 7, 8, 9, 10 Republicans who basically easily got the Democrats to vote for them, but took out a Republican Speaker of the House that, for all intents and purposes, had pretty good approval rating and everything else. And for a lot of people, myself included, seemed to have been kind of moving the ball down the field on a lot of different fronts.
Yeah, give McCarthy that credit because he was in a difficult position.
Yeah.
It's such a razor thin margin that he had to work with. So I don't know if it's the last time that the difference between the parties has been this close, but it's extremely hard to get anything done when you got that small of a margin between you and the opposing side of the aisle. So give him credit for that. But I have heard, so obviously he didn't follow through on his promise to Gates, because Gates said that McCarthy had promised him, that he wouldn't do this. And then I've heard that he's promised certain Democrats some things as well. Like he promised one Democrat that he was going to work with them on climate issues. And so I'm getting the impression he's making promises to everybody just to try to glue everything together and try to get things kind of going at all so that they're not at a standstill. But, eventually if you don't follow through on some of your promises, things are going to start to fall apart, which they did.
I mean, the real repercussions that one, obviously the budget issues. I mean, from 2019 till now, this is tangentially related, but the federal budget's gone up like 40 some percent just since 2019. That's madness. But what I'm curious about is if McCarthy is out of the speakership, what are the implications on the Jordan and Comer subcommittees, and their investigations, because aren't they appointed by the speaker?
I think there's going to be a speaker pro tem that's going to take over temporarily. So I think they can still function.
Patrick McHenry, is that him?
Have they already decided on who it's going to be?
Yeah.
Is it McHenry?
Yeah.
Yeah, McHenry didn't look too happy today. I think he was the guy in the bow tie who was like closing when he adjourned.
Well,
everything, and he like slammed down the gavel. It looked like he broke the gavel at the end.
If he's he's not a Democrat, he's not a member of the party, and he just became Speaker pro tem. So he's a Nazi now. He's a white supremacist. He's going to have reporters on his front lawn, and he's going to be castigated in the media. So he's probably not happy about that, would be my guess. Of course, he's probably not going to do that much. He's just keeping the seat warm, I'm sure.
Yeah, it seems like extremists to me to do this, but I kind of agree a little bit, like you were saying with the principle of it. I didn't like that they avoided the shutdown because they put the continuing resolution all the way into November, so past the election. So that kind of lets the Democrats off the hook and takes the pressure off them. And it's once you get past the election, we don't know what the results of the election are going to be. And well, couldn't the Democrats get more Congress persons?
Are you talking about like this coming November, like some special elections and stuff like that?
Yeah. Are there any seats up for grabs?
I'm not sure. I don't know. I mean,
because that's what I'm worried about is such a razor thin margin. And if the
Right.
Democrats pick up some seats in November, and then you've got another vote on the budget, and they're going to be like, well, let's just delay it until January when we swear in the rest of our group, and then we'll approve something at that point. You know, to me, they've kind of kicked the can a little bit too far, and they've lost their leverage. And now I think they're in a precarious position, especially if they lose seats in November.
I mean, it's, you know, on one hand, I was definitely a supporter of McCarthy up until Saturday when they went and passed this CR, because I'm just like, God, man, like it's the same crap, you know. And I think that's what Matt Gaetz is railing against. But
and why?
Gaetz, you know, his hands aren't clean fully either, because the deal before the CR, which would have taken, was like 8% cuts and more funding on the border and stuff like that. Gaetz was against that because he wanted the whole enchilada. You know, he wanted all 12 appropriations bills done. So, you know, it's a mess. I mean, Gaetz is standing on principle, and that's rare in Washington. You know, my concern is, like we said before, the way things ratchet on the party side. Everything's about power. They do everything they can to bring power into themselves, always. And then on the Republican side, they'll do things like this. So it's like a ratchet. It only moves in one direction. Like the Republicans either hold ground or lose it, but the Democrats always gain ground. And it's
for Nazis, they're not in lockstep.
Yeah, they certainly are not in lockstep.
And I thought it was funny when they passed the CR on what was it, Saturday night. The Democrats were complaining. They're like, "Oh, I can't believe they dropped this on us at the last minute. We haven't even had time to review it." I'm like, did you not? You don't remember like those omnibus bills that you would pull in like on a Friday night and vote on it before, like within an hour,
like 2,800 pages. I mean, this thing was 70 pages,
and spend trillions and trillions of dollars, and nobody would read the thing.
No one even knows what it. Yeah.
And then you're I couldn't believe. I was like, really?
Did we lose Desiree?
She's taking a Zeus in honor of Zeus. So she's taking a pee break.
Yeah, like I said, it's concerning because I don't really have my head wrapped around it, and it's not black and white. There's a lot of things going on, and who knows what the personality clash thing is. You know, I don't know. I mean, you know, I don't think there's anyone involved whose hands are 100% clean in this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's no one that's like completely without some blame. And McCarthy too. I mean, look, he made a deal, like it or not, to get these 12 appropriations bills voted on, and he didn't do it. And so it's not a mystery, you know. I mean, they're not used to having accountability in Washington, and maybe that's why this seems so dramatic, you know, because that's not something that happens very often. Normally,
if you have like a rogue congressperson or a small, you know, group, a caucus or what have you, they usually don't have this much power. But again, because of the razor thin margin, it only takes a small handful of people to upset the apple cart. Right. And he's doing that. Now, Like he's kind of shooting and then asking questions later because I don't know how are you going to get a new um,
Speaker.
speaker at this point. You saw how difficult it was to get the votes for McCarthy. Who are you going to put in there now? And what if that person doesn't do exactly what you want them to do? I mean, Gates has got to, there's got to be some compromise here. He can't act like this, all the way through his term here.
Well, he owns whatever happens now. I mean, that's his political future is tied to this. I mean, if this goes really bad, he's going to be blamed for it. He's the figurehead. He's the poster child for this thing. So it's his baby now. And I don't know
talk of expelling him. We'll see. I don't know how that vote would come down. I guess maybe the Democrats would all vote for that.
Isn't that ironic?
And then you would just need a handful of Republicans. Well, I don't know what do they need just a simple majority to expel somebody, or does that need to be like a super majority?
It's probably a super majority. I mean,
I would hope so.
One anecdote I found humorous was that the Republicans, McCarthy made, I don't know if it was McCarthy or who, but the Republicans made the Republicans who were pushing for the ouster, they made them speak from the Democrat side of the House floor. Like, really? So the Republicans for McCarthy were on their regular side, and then Gates and the other people had to speak from the Democrat side. They got like a third lectern or something crazy like that. So it's some petty stuff there. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how it's going to shake out. I do know there's a lot I don't know. I mean, that's what I do know. I don't know. I mean, who has the votes? I mean, Gates doesn't. Gates probably couldn't get 20 people to vote for him. I mean, if I had to choose somebody who I think has a chance, it would be Scalise. Yeah. I don't know who else. I don't know who else would, because he's kind of I don't know if it's because he got shot, but he kind of has an in with everybody. He's kind of a free agent. He's not a free agent, but he gets along with everybody.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that would help. So I know his name was brought up this afternoon, and I think McHenry as well were the first two names that popped up. So we'll see. This is chaos, though. I don't like it. This doesn't bode well for anything, but we'll see what happens.
The thing that's frustrating to me is just how the party just jumps on it. You know what I mean? It's like I do admire how single-minded they are in a way. I mean, I don't want my representatives to be like that, but you gotta admire it too. I mean, they just stick together like crazy. I mean, there's never any dissension. I mean, the people that always talk about democracy, and then they make fun of the Republicans for this S show that's going on today. And whatever, you can make that case, but at least there's some deliberation. I mean, on the Democrat side, it's like whatever Nancy Pelosi says or said, that's what everybody did. They even got rid of voting. They had proxy voting. People didn't even have to come to the Capitol anymore. I mean, there was no dissension in the ranks, and that's kind of disturbing. I don't know. So
the Democrats are like the automatons of politics.
Yeah.
It's like they're robots, they're programs, like the message gets out like instantly, and they all say the same thing, speak the same language. It's impressive. You're right.
It is. Just
it's scary at the same time.
It's scary too at the same time. I don't know. Well, do you want to jump to another story, or should we keep going around? Do you guys have? I mean, we can come back to this. I got one that's tangentially related to this one.
Okay.
And then Des can go. JamaalBowman pulling the fire alarm in the Cannon building. I don't know if you guys heard about that. Did you hear about this, Des?
No.
So this guy, JamaalBowman, he is a socialist Democrat. I mean, he that's the way he describes himself. he was apparently running late to the vote. Now, this was a vote on Saturday night that the Democrats were doing everything in their power to delay. Hakeem Jeffries,
This vote.
this
for-
vote. No, not for
McCarthy out.
McCarthy, for the
Oh.
what ended up becoming the CR, the continuing resolution. So the government wouldn't shut down.
Yeah.
Which I don't care if the government shuts down. I mean, it's like 17% of the government. They all get back pay. Whatever.
Yeah.
That's a
I
whole
think it
other
would have been better because it would have put the pressure on and they could have, put something together.
I just love getting lectured to by people. Again, living around DC, there's a lot of federal people here, but I love getting lectured to by people about how horrible it is. And these are the same people that were all about shutting down the private sector for a year plus.
You know who like the people that it is horrible for, like the military personnel that are reliant on their retirement checks.
Or if they miss I think they get retirement check. I don't think
they'll get it once it's over.
Yeah.
Right. But if you are
it's
paycheck to paycheck.
Granted.
It would have to be a lengthy shutdown. Because think about it, because you know how your paycheck is always like 2 weeks behind. So even if the government shuts down, you'll get a paycheck will come like after a week or two.
Yeah, typically
that
it's a
one.
couple days.
It wouldn't be until you go to like 4 weeks or longer, then you start missing.
But
paychecks.
I'm just saying, and I get that because it's military and they volunteer for that, and that's its own thing. But I know people that lost their business. I know people that didn't take a paycheck for over a year. So whatever. And it was not being, this was being promoted by people in the government. So anyway, that's just me personally. But anyway, JamaalBowman was rushing to get to the vote. Hakeem Jeffries was trying to delay it by basically filibustering. The Democrat Party members were slow walking their way back into the chambers. They were trying to delay this thing as much as possible. He's saying that he was trying to open up an emergency door that was closed. This door has huge signs on it. It's only closed on the weekends. It's a door to the outside. But almost all of the Congress critters use tunnels and the little subway system that's below the Cannon building in the Capitol grounds to get back and forth to the Capitol. They usually don't go outside because that's where the unwashed are. They don't want to mingle with those people, so they stay underground and go between their office and the Capitol. So he pulled this thing, and he's telling everybody that he thought it was a handle to open the door. They've released a picture of this thing. It's a typical, like everyone has seen, bright red with white letters that say fire across it and like 1.5 inch font, Anyway, so it ended up delayed the vote for like an hour. And the interesting thing about it is it's all getting laughed off in the press, but he disrupted an official proceeding of Congress, which is exactly the same thing that a lot of people, and I'm not talking about violent people, I'm talking about people that just walked into an open door or who were, welcomed in to the Capitol, that are serving time and paying fines and spending time in solitary and everything else from January 6th. And the fact that this just gets laughed off like it's no big deal. Anyway, kind of it's considered a joke story. Who knows what'll happen to him? There's people talking that they want to kick him out of Congress, but we'll see. I doubt that's going to happen. But that was a little story that just happened this week. I thought it was kind of funny.
He's definitely lying.
Okay.
Everybody knows. First of all, the fire alarm is not going to open a door. And he's not
close the door. If anything,
right?
It's not like he just came into the country and he can't read English or he doesn't know. I mean, if you've been to any school or college building or any government building, they all have these same fire alarm apparatus and the door, and they're never connected to the doors. So
hold on. So he's saying he pulled the fire alarm, but thought it was the door handle.
Yes.
No, he thought it would unlock the door.
He thought it would unlock the door.
Oh, okay.
A door that no one else was using. And here's the thing that just totally, to me, proved it. Like I always like to put myself in these positions. Whenever you hear about these crazy
illegal
stories,
to pull the fire alarm anyway?
Yeah, it's a felony.
Yeah, well, I mean, so it kind of doesn't matter if you did that shit on accident. You can't do it.
Exactly. It doesn't matter if you did it on accident. But the thing I like to think about is like trying to put myself in this position. Now, here's the thing, and not to be all like Perry Mason about it. But if you grant him he thought it would open the door, he pulled this thing, and then the fire alarm went off, and he's like, "Oh crap!" Wouldn't you stay there, or wouldn't you be like, "Oh man, yeah, front desk, I just pulled the fire alarm. It's me. It's no fire." He didn't do that. He took off. They had to catch him. He didn't come up to anyone and be like, "Hey, I'm the one that pulled the fire alarm." They had to find him on video. And then the Capitol Police paid him a visit. So that's the thing that, for me personally, that's proved that to me that proves he's lying. Because if I put myself in that position, I think 99 out of 100 people who have decent virtue would own up to it immediately if it was an honest mistake. They wouldn't just take off. Same thing like if you hit someone's car in a parking lot. I mean, I know there's people that take off.
Yeah.
But
Not leaving
I mean,
a note.
most
I don't
people are
think-
gonna leave a note or something if it's bad. I mean, if it's a ding, I mean, I have door dinged people by accident. I don't leave a note for that. But if I were to like run into somebody, probably would leave.
Well, he for sure didn't know that there was a camera there.
He did not know there was a camera there, which is hilarious because you know that every single square inch of not just the Capitol, but the House and Senate office buildings are,
although
especially
we know
entrances
from past episodes that some of these government cameras don't work all the time.
Right.
As we've talked about in our 2000 Mules episode.
If anyone's getting murdered, then they will not be working. Yeah.
So it was a video.
It was
Did the video show him trying to open the door?
Yes. First? So apparently he went over to the door and took their signs on there, and he took them off. And then he pulled the fire alarm.
What signs?
I don't know. Remove? It said it was about these doors are closed on the weekend, and that it's telling like down the hall there's another way to get out. They do it for security. These doors are open during the week, but they're closed on the weekend.
But his story, as stupid as it is, but his story was that he was trying to get to the floor to cast his vote. Right,
but he was heading outside.
So why would he go outside?
You could technically get to the Capitol and go outside, but again, from what I've heard other people talk about, that doesn't really happen too much.
There's a load of
What was the other? Yes, Cannon Building. Yeah,
this is just more hypocrisy.
It's what, again, it's like what you're asked to believe, and then on the other side of the coin, the party will make accusations based on like incredibly specious stuff, and then it's like that's proof. Like if they want to go after somebody,
you have to ask yourself, what would, if Donald Trump had done this, what would the repercussions be?
Yeah, he'd be impeached, man.
That would be a felony, disrupting a legal. I'm sure they would like have a jury. They'd put him. They'd indict him like almost immediately.
Here's the question, and this isn't. I was listening to this guy here locally on the radio today. Vince Colonnese. He's a good guy. He's pretty young, but he's interesting. And his point was he wants to see this pushed and kind of investigated by the Capitol Police because they'll get discovery and they can subpoena communications like his phone, and they can check out texts and emails.
Cat is going crazy.
Wow. And if there's any communications or collusion of like, hey, Jamal, go pull this alarm, and there's that in a text message or something, that would be explosive, right? I mean,
if he's deleted any text messages, then that's obstruction of justice.
Right. So my whole thing is like, hey, man, let the chips fall where they may. We should investigate this. But if you see a lot of stonewalling, like we shouldn't investigate this, then you really know the fix is in at that point. If he did do it by accident, then let the chips fall where they may.
They'd be stupid enough to send somebody a text telling them to.
Hey, man, you never know. It's possible.
Hey, go pull the fire alarm.
Yeah. No, exactly. It's like high school stuff. Anyway,
we're going to talk about some stupid things that people do to incriminate themselves when we get to the looting section.
Oh man! So what do you got, Desiree?
All right, this just in.
Ching, 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 ching. We should get the little.
Emotional support. Are you ready?
Yes. I'm sorry. Yes.
Emotional support alligator denied entry into the Philly Stadium.
What? Wait, is for the Eagles game? or for Phillies?
Philadelphia
baseball?
Phillies
When did
baseball
this-
match when it's
Did this just happen recently?
like within the week.
So someone had an emotional support-
Yeah,
alligator.
it says
Alligator.
somebody took their emotional support alligator to the home of the Philadelphia Phillies, and were much surprised by the reaction of onlookers.
Yeah.
And were
Apparently, this alligator's name is Wally, and it is considered a support animal. Has tens of thousands of followers on social media. Has like a page, whatever.
Okay.
does he have teeth?
Well, it just says he just doesn't bite anyone.
Not yet.
Or not?
Yeah.
He's
I
like-
guess.
What is the length of this
Says
support?
Wally won't
alligator?
ever bite anyone, and no one knows why.
Hmm.
Even his
Hey.
food must be dead and handed to him.
And
There's
someone
like a bunch
thought
of
that
people
was
on like the
okay.
social media, like on the social media page or whatever he has. Like, there's a bunch of people like hugging him and stuff, like this alligator. Look, you can't bring your fucking alligator in here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what kind of emotional support does an alligator even give? I mean, it's not.
Hugs. I get a teethless hug. I don't know. That thing's not even cuddly.
Right.
Do
Don't you
alligators
need to
have
be like
emotions?
furry and cuddly in order to be a support animal?
I don't know, but I think I need a support raccoon.
You know what we used to
Those
call
are fun.
emotional
They
support
make me laugh and
animals?
they're cuddly.
We called them teddy bears and stuffies, stuffed animals.
Yeah, stuffies and your blankie.
Yeah.
But now people have them as adults and they're actual animals.
But
Whatever,
like
no
some of them
judgment.
don't even make
I get it.
sense. Like this one.
Yeah, how do
I
you
like it,
find
yeah.
out?
We're getting into emotional support peacocks.
Yeah.
We got emotional support
Ponies.
reptile. I mean, like it's a bit ridiculous
Now,
with the
Is
emotional
it-
support animals.
did these people go through the emotional support dog and that didn't work, and then the emotional support cat, and then the koala bear, and then they got
doesn't
to
really
the alligator,
say.
or did they
It
just
was
start
just-
with the alligator?
It just said that they didn't let the alligator into the stadium because
Was this the
duh.
same guy that pulled the fire alarm? Because this is a tall tale. It's
I'm loving
another
it.
whopper. It
And so that
sounds to me
was
like
this
he's
week.
just trying to get clicks and views
Mhm.
for this
That was this week.
alligator. Sounds like the alligator is some kind of influencer.
All right, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm
good.
saying. Like it has a social media following.
Right.
I'm writing
They-
this down.
And yeah, he's just trying to get in to get him on TV and drum up some cash.
Maybe it was a little stunty to do.
Sounds like a publicity stunt.
There you go, publicity stunt. Could have
All
been.
right, Tom, you're up.
All right.
Well-
Speaking of stupid publicity stunts
Mm.
and dumbass influencers. So I wanted to talk. Well, the bigger news story that I wanted to talk about was the looting that's been going on. We see it a lot. I mean, these, I don't know what you call it, like a flash mob of shoplifters and looters will rush into a store, like 20 or 30 at a time, just grab everything. It's like a little Tasmanian devil, like
A
a
flash mob
hurricane
of
of
looters.
shoplifters that go in and swirl around, and they clean the shelves and then they disappear as fast as they came in. It's quite a problem because I don't know how you stop it. It's kind of like trying to stop that tush push that the Eagles do.
With
Yeah.
the tush
Nobody
push.
can- Mike knows the
The
third
tush
down and
push.
one play that they do.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
You can't stop it.
Yeah, you can't stop it. So, but anyway, so looting's happening over and over. There was this one lady. She goes by the moniker of Meatball, and if you see her, if you've seen her video,
It'll become apparent. Yeah.
right, it becomes apparent, and she looks like a meatball.
Rude.
Literally. And she was there. She calls herself an influencer. I don't know what the qualification is to be an influencer. Are we influencers?
I don't know, man.
You have to actually influence somebody, or do you
Yeah.
just have to
There's
be
probably maybe like an actual definition. What qualifies? I'll just ask Google what.
I would think people would have to you recommend a product and they buy it. Then you're influencing somebody.
Or you
But
just
if
wear something. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we wear stuff, but I don't
Yeah.
know if we're influencers. But anyway, Meatball was there in Philadelphia, the wonderful city. of crime, and there's a looting, a massacre of looting going on, and she was there, recording herself live on Instagram. Hey, everybody, it's Meatball. We're going into the store. We're going to go into Apple. We're going into what else did they do? Like some
Lululemon.
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 Lululemon. It's not
I don't know.
Lululemon.
Yeah.
And and then she starts screaming, "Everybody must eat. Everybody must eat."
Apple products?
Yeah.
Well, it's
They're
kind
apples.
of a socialist thing, I think, about,
Yeah.
they say that,
Eat
if
the
you're
rich.
poor, you steal because you need to feed yourself or your family.
Yeah, but not cell phones. You don't need
Not
cell
if
phones.
you're the shape of a meatball.
Yeah.
You don't need to feed yourself. But she's screaming this, and her mother was there also, which was funny because you can hear her. So she's got this video that's gone viral, and she'll probably end up, if she doesn't end up in jail and spend all of her money on legal fees, she might get some cash out of this whole deal. But it's funny because you can hear her in the video yelling to her mom, "Hey, Ma, let's go this way. Let's go into the store over here." So
Oh
she's
my
yelling
God.
all this stuff.
And was this in Philadelphia?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then she starts yelling, "Please come get me. Come get me."
And she was arrested, right?
Yeah. And then the police got her. And that's when the video stops cold, right at that moment when the police are. And then the next thing you see is her mugshot from the police. And now she's like claiming she was a victim.
What is she doing with the
wrong.
Apple products? Selling them
Probably
online?
I don't know if she was there. Most of what I saw from her was in the street. So I'm not sure exactly if she went into stores and took anything, but she definitely became the face of the
riot.
crime event,
Of the
Of the loot.
the looting.
Like, where was
Meatball.
this at? San
Philadelphia.
Francisco?
Philadelphia.
Well, because they be doing that in San Francisco, and it's like, fine. They should just go there and do it because it's.
Well, I don't
arrested.
know how many people got arrested. I mean, the video I saw was like 20 people coming out of a store. The cops would grab one guy and just beat the crap out of him. You know what I mean? And like 19 were like gone.
Well, think of the odds, though. If you're one of the 20, you're like, okay,
Yeah.
19 out of 20 chance that I get away scot-free with like $500 worth of stuff.
And Apple was like, anything is taken out of our store that's not purchased is deactivated.
It doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't work. So
Because it's stolen.
And then, yeah, but, and especially on the West Coast, even if you do get caught by the police, they won't press charges.
Yeah. That's what I'm
Has to be a
saying.
certain
So
amount
So
of
even
money.
more trial. I don't know about
the flash
Philadelphia.
mob just needs to go to San Francisco if they want to continue flash mobbing.
Well, maybe they're
Stores.
stealing up to get like plane tickets to get out there.
you notice they never ransack bookstores. You notice that?
Or
Just-
like
Just saying.
places that sell
Or
smart people
grocery
things like tech
stores, if-
stores.
For all
Not
these
like
hungry
Apple.
people
But
that
like
need to eat.
not Apple. What am I thinking of? There's a store
Radio Shack.
like a Radio Shack or like things that sell computer chips. Like stores that sell those. Just those.
Sharper
They don't-
image. Oh, man.
Best Buy.
Well,
Where'd this
they do
thing
a
go?
Best Buy because you can sell the shit from the Best Buy and sell it, but
I gotta find this.
they don't really
thing,
know what
man.
you're supposed to do with computer chips.
Well,
know?
I mean, if in Apple, you could get like all those headphones. The phone cases and the headphones are worth a ton of money. If you
yeah.
like just grab a bag full of
Mhm.
those, even because they deactivate the phones and the iPads, maybe.
But the accessories.
Yeah,
you're
those
good.
accessories are pricey.
I bet you the iPads would work too, as long as they weren't like on
Wi-Fi.
your cellular network.
Yeah, just Wi-Fi, you'd be okay.
All right, I got another story. So, and this one's current, and hopefully it'll probably have already happened by the time we get this episode up, which I'll try to get up tomorrow. Tomorrow at 2:20 Eastern Standard Time, the government is
Government.
sending out what do they call it? Emergency alert test
Damn it, that was going to be one of mine.
to every phone, every radio station, every news station in the entire country.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
It's
supposed
like
to
the
last for like a
emergency
minute.
broadcasting system.
Mhm.
Well, they call it
The
emergency
EAS,
alert.
Emergency Alert System.
Yeah, emergency alert
Okay.
system. It's tomorrow
They've done this before, I think. haven't they?
2:20. I don't know if it was nationwide. It may have been regional. Was it nationwide?
I just have a comment.
Yes.
Y'all don't get, like, I live in Kansas. We be getting this shit
Mm.
all the
Yeah.
time.
No, we
For
get
tornadoes.
those.
Yeah, we get
Those
Every
alerts.
Monday, noon. Like, tornado sirens be going off. They be all the time.
Or
We're
we
getting
get
alerts.
the what do you call it? The Amber Alerts. I get those too.
Oh, I have that shut off.
You don't care
Well,
about children.
Well, I'll tell you, I always ignored them,
No.
except for September of was it 2019? No, September 2020. I was in Annapolis, Maryland, and my phone was like, "Wah," and I looked at it, and it was like tornado warning for your area. I was like, yeah, whatever. And like 30 seconds later, a tornado came by. So
Mhm.
now I do believe them, you know, but the 100 times before that, I did not
Well,
believe it.
Yeah, you can turn all that stuff off.
Well, I'm sorry I stole your story, Desiree.
It's okay. It's all right. Well, let's just do a little PSA for one. If you go to your phone settings and go to safety and emergency,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
click
Uh-huh.
it, click.
Do you have
And
an
on there,
iPhone?
this is not an iPhone, this is an Android.
Oh,
but it's
okay.
about probably the same type of,
Notifications.
probably not notifications, but like safety alerts, like government things, probably.
Control center. Emergency.
I'm gonna have to look it up.
Well, yeah, you can. I guess you can opt out of it.
Yeah,
My
so
first thing,
I can opt out of national extreme severe
Oh.
threats, except for the thing, like I have to have it on, but I can turn off I can turn off Amber alerts, I can turn up public safety messages and local tests and state tests. Maybe not federal tests, but so we'll see.
the
Okay, but
first thing
what's
I
the
thought about.
but Mike,
Mhm,
what is
yeah.
the issue? Why are you concerned about this?
So the first thing I'm not so much concerned because this is just news, right? So I'm just spreading the knowledge out to all of our viewers that this is happening. But the first thing that came to my mind, hey Jack,
Oh,
the first
Jackson.
thing,
Hi.
Hey,
Did
better
you
late
have a
than
nap?
never.
yeah, man.
Did you fall asleep?
I fell asleep
Yes,
after dinner.
I
we've
knew
all
it.
done it. I've done
No,
it. It's a
yeah.
horrible feeling.
No,
It's
we
like-
ordered fried chicken from this place in Jersey City,
Nice.
and the pieces were huge, and
Yeah.
I had 3 and fries, and then I laid down. And that was a mistake. That was a mistake.
Chicken 1, Jack 0.
Yeah, well,
Was it
So-
called Charlie's Chicken?
it was called Chicken Delight in Jersey City. Highly
Chicken
recommended.
Delight.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you for joining us.
Well, I'm glad I could make it. Thanks
we-
for having me.
We were just throwing out some stories. We talked
Yep.
about McCarthy getting ousted, JamaalBowman pulling the fire extinguisher,
Yeah, I had that one.
the
Yeah.
Alligator, emotional support animal for the Phillies. What was the one you just said, Tom? I'm sorry, I didn't write it down.
The emergency?
That's tomorrow.
Right.
That's what he's talking
Oh,
about.
the looting.
The
Looting.
looting, and then the emergency
Oh,
alert.
okay. You guys are deep into it. All right.
So the thoughts thing, Tom was asking me why I picked the emergency alert, and the reason I did was this is how sick I am, right? My mind immediately went to how are they going to use this? Like how are they going to fuck us with this? You know, that was where my mind went. And I'm thinking back, remember like 9/11 when NORAD was holding like what do they call it? Like a test or like a what do they call that? It's not a test. It's like some scenario that they run for
Like a
training.
war games or something.
War games that was like on the morning of
Simulation.
9/11 that dealt with like an attack or something in
Yeah.
New York, and people thought it was like. So I'm just wondering, like, what is going to happen at 2:20 tomorrow that is actually an emergency? You know,
Mhm.
what's it going to be?
Yeah,
like,
what are they?
The big one's
diverting
coming.
attention
I'm going to be in
for?
my
Yeah.
basement
The
at
big one's
2:19 tomorrow.
So
Yeah, I
you
did-
think they're
hiding in
going to
the
use
corner.
this to say, like, apply mask now at some point in the future, or
Something. I don't know, man. It's
Or it's
just
going to be like an anthrax, like aerial anthrax attack. like all the chemtrails is going to be anthrax tomorrow, and then
Yeah.
so like the alert's going to go out, but everyone like, oh, it's not real, it's a test.
Or it's going to be like Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, and the tone of the emergency alert is going to turn us
Oh.
on to flesh-eating zombies.
Wow.
Have
Wow.
you
That's
seen
it,
the
man.
real actual conspiracy theories
if
about
you
it though?
had the vaccine,
No.
it's going to turn you to a zombie.
Oh, yeah.
There's an actual conspiracy about this.
About the emergency alert?
About the emergency alert.
Nice.
What
It's
is the
really stupid.
conspiracy?
It says, okay, claim an emergency alert broadcast system test on October 4th will send a signal to cell phones nationwide in order to activate nanoparticles such as graphene oxide that has been introduced into people's bodies.
Hey, man. Why not?
Well, I remember just thinking they're doing a trial run because we're at DEF CON 2 or something, and we just don't know it. Like, let's make sure we're capable of getting through to everybody. You know what I mean? In case the missiles start flying.
Well,
I remember. Oh, I'm sorry, Mike.
No. I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say, I remember, I want to say it was last summer. I was telling you guys here in like the New York City area, they aired a commercial of this woman like walking down the street in New York, and it was preparedness in the event of an emergency for like a nuclear attack. And they even ran a full like poster ad campaign, and the posters would fill the train cars on like going into New York City, like get inside, close all the windows, rinse off your skin, make sure you have water and this and that. Like, it was really terrifying, and it was over the course of the summer, and we were all like, what's gonna happen? Like, what are they warning us about? And
or conditioning us for.
Yeah, right. Or just doing a test run of the technology. Like, does this get out there to everybody? Kind of like, when we were kids, you'd always hear like those, this is the emergency broadcast system in the event
this is a
of
test
an
of the emergency alert system.
Right.
If this were an actual test,
it could just be like some high-tech
information would follow the broadcast,
like a high-tech trial run or something. But it's scary, Mike. Like, I heard about it today. Dana was saying she was going to, mention it on the show, and I was a little like, I get why people are a little upset by it.
Sounds like a warning that should have went off in East Palestine.
Yeah.
Did they use that or not?
I don't think so.
No.
Well, here's something that I heard someone say today. This is not my joke, but I almost spit my tea out when I heard it. Was that they're going to get JamaalBowman to press the button to activate the emergency alert test. I thought that would
awesome.
I thought that would be really poignant.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry you guys talked about that already, because I remember, like, I was going to mention that. I just love like his elaborate story of how and why he did it. It's just, he was in a hurry to go cast his vote. Like, he was actually not trying to disrupt it. He was trying to make sure he attended it.
Right.
And so I'll pull this. And then people were like, he wanted to open those particular doors, but on the video they show him do it and then dart to a different stairwell, like as if that was going to throw off the scent. Oh, it's terrible,
man.
And he's a loudmouth too. He's a jackass. No
and
offense,
he doesn't take any responsibility. Like, he sent out this thing to other Democrat lawmakers saying, like, here's some talking points in case you get asked, about what happened, just so you can support me. And in there, he casually refers to some Republicans as like Nazis or whatever. And so people are like, WTF, man, like, what's with the going Godwin on everybody? And then he's like, oh man, that wasn't me. That was one of my staff members did that. I wouldn't do it. I mean, this guy cannot accept responsibility for anything. Like, my question, if I was his constituent, would be like, why did we even have you then? Like, you're not responsible for anything.
Yeah,
but
that's terrible.
Well, do you want to jump in with a story, Jack?
Hold on, let's go back to the emergency alert.
Emergency alert. Okay.
So, I just want to say that this is not the first time that they've ever done this. I mean, honestly, I get, now that Mike said the whole, like, when it might be like something's going to happen, but then this is like taking the, spotlight, like, just like how they did that pandemic preparedness before COVID hit. They did that thing about 9/11. that morning. And then like, it does kind of like feel weird, but I mean, like I said, they be doing these all the time. I have that shit turned off. I don't even care.
I just think the bomb's coming tomorrow, and everyone's gonna be like, "No, man, it's just the test." And they're gonna walk outside, and it's gonna be like the day after, like skeleton and powder. Like everyone's gonna die.
That's a cheery thought, Mike.
Oh,
Thanks.
well, maybe
I'll
not.
I'll sleep well tonight because I already slept, so it's gonna be hard to go back. Let me see here. I was looking at some stories.
And then we got to jump back to Des because I was just figuring you can jump in since we already each did one.
No, I had a couple. I'm looking at what I wrote, which wasn't a whole lot, unfortunately. I did see one story. It doesn't sound like you guys mentioned it. There was is Zeus coming on? Because his window is open.
He's
and
lurking.
He keeps chatting.
Yeah.
Zeus, stop chatting. Come on. No, I saw the story. I don't think you guys mentioned it. Democratic presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. put out a social media post basically saying, I've got a big announcement to make on October 9th in Philadelphia, at the what do they call it? The hall, the Continental Congress Hall.
Alligator's going to be there.
And so he's going to have a little rally, I guess. And speculation on his big announcement is that, because Biden and the DNC are pulling a Tulsi Gabbard. They're keeping him as far away from actually being able to run, as a primary candidate against Biden. You know what I mean? Like he's had not just rather Secret Service, but getting his name on the ballot. And, if Biden ever wanted to debate, which we know he doesn't, that's never going to happen. At least I don't think it's going to happen. He'll do the basement campaign 2024 again. But they think that RFK is going to say that he's going to run as a third party candidate. And that seems to be the theory. I mean, we don't know what else he could possibly have to say. It could be, I've got a VP now. But I mean, the people that know a lot more than I do seem to be saying that he's going to announce as an independent. And so what I wanted to throw out to the crowd is, should that happen without a hitch, what do you think that does in a general election? And is it good for the party or is it good for the MAGA people? Just your opinion. If it goes
not to jump in, but I've thought about this. Yeah, I think this is just total conjecture, right? I don't have any stats, just my gut feeling. I think RFK Jr. is an independent. He's going to pull from Biden voters from the party, and he's also going to pull from people that may vote for Trump on the fringes. But I think the percentage wise, I think it'll be a net positive for Trump. I think he's going to pull more away from Biden than he would away from Trump. Just a gut feeling.
All right, because everybody knows that
I think the opposite.
Yeah, I'm with Des maybe.
Oh, really?
I'll explain why, but unless you want to go ahead, Des.
Well, I think that maybe historically, like those who vote independent are typically like on the fringe of or are more
libertarian,
fiscal conservatives, almost libertarian type, leaners than, Democratic. And a lot of Democrats today are like very, very, very left. And so, I mean, it's just gonna.
Yeah, I was thinking he's not winning. Who is the Biden voter that might just say? Now, obviously, there's people that are worried about his age, right? I mean, there's those people, big time. They're concerned that he's not electable because of his age, and even if they, voted for him, what am I voting for this time? Like things, especially if you acknowledge that the country's kind of lost its way in a lot of ways, the economy, the southern border. Military involvement abroad, taxes, inflation. Unless you're just still wearing a Biden Harris t-shirt and woohooing it, he's the greatest. I don't know how many. So you might, Biden may lose some of those Democrats that say, I just can't vote for this guy again. And RFK is strong, and he's also an environmentalist, and he's also probably to some extent pro-union, I would think. So he's got those people Maybe. I wish I knew more about
But
all of his positions. But I'm thinking it could take away from Trump too. And I forget who I saw. Because I don't, I didn't come up with all of these. I came up with the fact that, if you like compare RFK to Trump, right? And well, or compare RFK to Biden, you know, um, RFK seems skeptical of big government, and that's not a real the party position.
mm-mm,
Their big government
they
is
are government.
infallible. They are the so he's skeptical of big government. He's very skeptical of big pharma. And right now
Mhm.
the party is in bed with them. And you could say Trump is also skeptical of big government. And, I don't know about big pharma because he had Operation Warp Speed. He hasn't really come out against it. But RFK is also skeptical and against big tech censorship, and so is Trump. He got
Yeah.
kicked off Twitter famously, right, during an election.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're, like Des said, if you're one of these like more libertarian, anti-government kind of people, RFK is pretty viable, just like Trump is. And then you don't have all the baggage of, you know,
And mean tweets.
and no, and also indictments.
Hmm.
And possible jail. And also, where's Trump at that point on election day? Is he already sentenced? Is he in custody? Is he under house arrest? Like,
I mean, does it say that you can't run the country,
no, he'd still he'd
incarcerated?
still he'd still run the country. But if that move has been made on the chessboard already before election day, I mean, you're gonna have some people go to bat for Trump. Like he just got convicted. Fuck this government. But you're also gonna have people that are just like,
Am
I
I
don't know.
allowed to vote for him?
Can
They're going to be like, I don't think I can vote for him now that
Well,
he's
if he's on the ballot.
convicted.
Yeah, I think if he's
But
on the ballot.
and
But anyway, so that's what I wanted to throw out there. The
yeah,
RFK.
I think it's an interesting discussion. And like I said, I don't know. I kind of look at it, like our like Zeus. Like take Zeus as an example. I mean, Zeus is a classic blue dog Democrat, right? I
Mhm.
mean, from the 90s.
90s
Mhm.
Democrat.
And he latched on. I mean, like a week after RFK announced he was running, Zeus was like, "This is my guy." And
Yep.
I think I don't think Zeus is in the minority with that position. That's kind of where I was. But you're right. Yeah, the people that are voting for Biden, I don't see them voting for an independent.
I
Right.
see them just not voting.
Or see, yeah. I mean, isn't that crazy? I mean, the party talks about defending democracy and they won't even
Mhm.
allow a debate, and they're just shoving this guy off the stage,
Well, they
RFK
did it.
Jr.,
They
not
did
giving
it.
anyone an option to vote for him as a Democrat.
Well, because of the position, the positions held. Didn't they do that kind of to Tulsi Gabbard too last
Yeah,
time
I
around?
think so.
they did it to Bernie too.
Oh,
Yeah, I
Bernie,
Yeah,
think
yeah,
heck
Bernie's
Bernie.
always, yeah, they were
Not
afraid of
that I'm
that.
sad about it, but they kind
What is-
of
Yeah,
did
no,
What
him
is
wrong.
happening?
Zeus is a great example of like that voter, Mike, who's a Democrat,
Yeah,
who even admittedly voted for Biden, but just can't bring himself to do it again this time around.
and I think that's a lot of people.
That's a lot of, yeah, that's what I was saying. There's some people that are just like, he's just too damn old, or the country just sucks
Yeah,
right now, and yeah, so I don't know. Tom, what do you think? You got a thought on who's going to lose more votes?
I don't know. I would kind of lean Democrat. Would the Democrats would lose more votes because even though I think a lot of conservative right-leaning people have rallied behind RFK Jr. Recently because of the free speech issues, and he's been being kicked off of YouTube, and he's chumming up with Jordan Peterson and a bunch of other quote unquote former liberals that are kind of popular amongst conservatives. He's being interviewed by Bill Maher and Jordan Peterson, and
Yeah.
What's the podcasters, Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
So all these sorts of people, and so the conservatives are kind of rallying behind him for that issue, for that reason, the free speech.
Mhm.
But I don't think once more information gets out about him, I don't know that he's going to be, because where does he stand on the border?
Mhm.
Keep it open or close it? Because that's like a make or break for a
Yeah,
lot
a
of
lot of people.
conservatives. And where is he on Ukraine?
On Roe.
Mhm.
Yeah, on
I think he's
abortion.
very.
Where is
I
he on
think.
abortion?
I think he's. I mean, I've seen a lot of those interviews you mentioned. I think he's very skeptical on Ukraine.
Yeah, so I
He's
mean,
very.
there's a lot to learn about him.
Yeah.
I
No,
think
you're
at the
right.
end of the day, he's still going to be, he'll be revealed to be the liberal that he is,
Mhm.
although he does have certain aspects that attract. So he could get the people that are kind of right in the middle, the
Yeah.
centrists, the independents. Um, but I think a lot of his positions, he might be a breath of fresh air for a lot of Democrats that want to get away from this sort of
Mhm.
extremist. Where does he fall with the LGBTQ stuff
Right.
What do you
pushing that and
think?
parents' rights and those things?
So, in politics, nothing is an accident. Everything is choreographed and planned for the most part. So the other thing I found curious is, why would he announce that he's going to make an announcement a week plus from now? Because when he made this announcement, wasn't it
Yeah.
like 9-10 days away?
I
And
guess
now
to
we're
get some
6 days
people to
away.
show up, so he's not just talking to an empty,
Mhm.
an empty
I
field.
guess. I mean, maybe that's what it is. I thought that was kind of peculiar.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Well,
what is he? Is it a threat? In other words, is he sending up a trial balloon? Like, got this big
Yeah,
announcement, and then he's waiting for
Mhm.
the party to come. Like, what can we do to not have you do that? You know what I mean? Like some back channel
right.
communications.
Mm.
Just seems odd to me. It seems like you would
Mhm.
just say it if you're going to say it. But anyway, I don't know who's up. Is it Desiree?
Or
Yeah.
Tom.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So,
We'll just keep
when Tom was
going.
talking about the looters,
Yeah.
and
I
you were
missed
talking about that one chick named Meatball, or she called herself Meatball,
Meatball.
and
Meatball's
she be
awesome.
also looking like a meatball, and she looks like she does not eat the meatballs.
Yes.
She looked
And
like she ate some meatballs and turned into one.
You said something about like those who yell, like, what were you saying?
Everybody must eat.
That's what you were saying. And about
Mhm.
like, but she looks like she just doesn't need to eat.
She looked like she just ate.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is not new news, but you saying that reminded me of this of that song, The Richmond from Richmond.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah.
just thought of that too
Okay.
when you said it.
Made me think of that. What did you think of that?
The song?
Yeah, sure. The
It
song.
was a pretty good song. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
I like the guy's voice. I thought it was good. I mean, it says something like that just takes off so fast.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Great story. He
Yeah.
came out of nowhere, just
Yeah,
kind
he
of
lives in like
did
an
it
RV.
independently.
He
Yeah, no,
recorded it on
farm.
his iPhone.
I remember like aspects of the story that I heard, like because I know he was on Rogan. He did a full like 90 minutes to two and a
Mhm.
half hours on, and I'm not interested enough in Oliver Anthony to sit there and listen to
For
him.
2 hours. Yeah.
I just don't care. Like, good for you, buddy. Good for
Yeah.
you. I like the song too. But I remember like he kind of made noise in the conservative media world because he did a couple of like videos, like either reels or like where he was sitting in his car on a rainy day talking to the camera. Oh, it was after the Republican debate, the first one, because one of the first questions that they asked, I think DeSantis, was
Oh,
about that song, and they played a clip from
Oh,
the
yes.
song. And so Oliver Anthony said, it really made me laugh to hear them talk about my music at that debate. He's like, those are the people I'm talking about.
yeah. Yeah.
The rich men,
Mhm.
north of
Yeah.
Richmond. So he didn't like being associated necessarily with the Republican national, candidates. And so then everybody was like, oh, he's a leftist or he's not part of the movement. Like, so the poor guy goes through all that too. And I think he clarified, like, I haven't picked a side, or, he's singing the working man's blues, really. I
Yeah.
mean, that's
Well,
what it is.
it's the establishment and anti-establishment, like we've been
Yeah.
saying. They took it as like liberal. There's two different paradigms happening. Like
Mhm.
inside the Beltway, it's it's Democrat Republican, but the rest of the country, it's not. It's inside DC Beltway and outside. That's the dichotomy.
I didn't watch the Rogan episode with him, but I saw some clips of it, and when he's on there and he's sitting there with Rogan reading from the Bible.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
So I'm like, clip. Okay, yeah, I think he's going to be a little right leaning.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, whether he wants, and maybe he's just kind of saying, "Oh, these are all the corrupt people from Washington." Although DeSantis is not a senator nor a congressperson,
right?
But he's probably just thinking, "Okay, I lump all them together because they're."
Yeah, he's like Mike said, anti-establishment. He's anti-federal government doing what they do, maybe to the working man. And and then seemingly rewarding people that aren't putting in the time and busting their ass trying to like afford groceries and gas and rent and I mean it's a real issue going on right now.
There was a lot of attack from the line that says something to the effect of I wish they would care about the miners, not just miners on the island somewhere.
Yeah, you're right. But there's also the line that reminded
me.
And
then about the 300 pounds and government paying for your fudge rounds.
Yeah, that's the line
so that whole like stanza, I guess you could say.
Yeah,
was really attacked. And it's like, yeah, everyone knows your dollar isn't shit. You got to fucking pay these outrageous taxes. Politicians have always been corrupt. A lot of people attack that little part of it just because it's like, oh well. When I first heard it, I kind of thought it was like poor kids on like Haiti or something. I didn't think of the Epstein Island situation.
Yeah.
No.
But yeah.
Yeah, and that song actually followed. It was right on the heels of another like country Jason Aldean, the country western song about
that song is not racist, whatever.
Yeah, but that was the accusation. That's what I was trying to get to. Like, it's basically like you can't pull that shit in a small town, whether you're stealing, looting, carjacking. Yeah,
come to the Midwest and try to pull some shit.
Yeah,
everyone's packing.
Everyone.
No one's afraid. It's all meat and potatoes boys out here. Like they're gonna whoop your ass.
Yeah, and
that was gonna be one of my follow-up questions. We didn't get to it with my looting section, but if you guys were a store owner, what would you do? Because I keep thinking that I'd have like these sort of like gates that would like drop down instantly and shut the doors.
Like, honestly, I'd probably just let them take it and claim the insurance.
That's what a lot of people are doing.
But they're going out of business as well.
Well, there was some story like a month ago. I think it was a Lululemon store.
Lululemon.
I don't know what state it was in. But, these guys, like 3 guys came in, and you've seen this in some of like the looting videos. Like they just grabbed yoga pants and sweaters and, work out by like the stacked in their arms. And then they proceeded to make their way to the door. And there were 2 young ladies that worked there. And they were like trying to like stop them, just physically get in front of the door. They got tossed aside. And then the girls chased them outside and were filming them getting in their car casually, crossing the parking lot and getting in a car, and driving off. And Lululemon, I guess, in the wake of this happening in major cities, they instituted a policy: do not interfere with them, do not stop them, do not report them to police. Even I think something extreme. And so these girls got fired. And it became like they went to the public with it, and then there were like almost like boycotts or protests.
So what's weird about that is loss prevention. This is going to be a completely tangential conversation, but loss prevention. A lot of like Kohl's, Walmart, large corporations have like a whole loss prevention company or department that will they're the ones who watch the cameras. They're the ones who go and chase you out in the parking lot, whatever. A lot of smaller stores they're told that you can't, like, for example, and I only know this because past employment history, Victoria's Secret. So if you see somebody physically put something in their bag, you can't even say like, hey, I just saw you put that in your bag, give it fucking back. Like you have to say something like, "Oh, do you want me to put whatever it was at the cash wrap?" And they'll be like, "No," and then they'll leave. And even if the alarms go off, you can't chase them out. Like that's just the rules of just loss prevention stuff. So it's like mix that in with, you know, just the overall, you know, not going to prosecute you. I mean, it's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah. I mean,
that's a long-standing policy. A lot of stores have that, and I've worked in retail, and I followed shoplifters out. I remember we had this one store I was working in.
But it's the bigger stores. It's usually not the littler, like.
It was a chain store. Well, yeah, not the biggest one, but. And we had this little plaza where the store was, where it was hard to get your car out because it was tight, constricted, and there was a stoplight there, and you couldn't. So the shoplifters got in their car. So I followed them out, and they like pulled up to the light, but they couldn't go anywhere because of the traffic. And I just walked right up and with a pen and paper and wrote down their license plate number and walked back inside very casually. I don't know. Yeah, I'm the sort that would want to do something, but yeah, it's always the policy not to.
Not to
chase. I don't think that's anything new. And I've heard of people being fired if you do that.
That's
you
crazy.
do chase out there because they're worried about lawsuits and stuff.
Yeah, they don't want their employees getting killed, but it seemed like people thought it was coming from like a social justice, social awareness position.
Well, the part about don't call the police.
Yeah, now it is, Des. I agree.
That's weird.
Don't you?
Because you can still call the cops. You can be like, "Hey, this chick in a green sweatshirt, her license plate is this. I just saw her sit still. Da, 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 da."
But Jack said it's the store policy not to even call the police.
Right. They were like,
but calling the police has not really ever been one. So that must be a new thing that's come
around.
What
if you feel threatened?
Contact them.
You work there and you're kind of scared because people are just coming in and you don't know what's going to happen next. And why can't you call the police?
You could, I guess.
You could.
Yeah.
I don't see how they can get you for calling the police. I don't know what it says about us as a country that looters hit a yoga pants store. I mean, what's up with that?
Because they're selling the shit online.
Yeah. Right.
Oh.
It's just a resale.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's messed up.
Those are expensive.
Yeah, it was kind of like refreshing today. We were in New York City, and we stumbled upon the Sam Ash music store, which I hadn't been to a Sam Ash in forever. And it's like Guitar Center. It's just wall to wall, and it's the New York City. It's like the flagship store.
Wow.
So everything from production equipment to, there was a $30,000 bass guitar in there in like a glass case, keyboards, drums, you name it, classical instruments. And when you walked in, it wasn't a security guard. I don't think it was a security guard. I think it was a New York City cop. And he was like right at the front, greeted you almost as you walked in. Like the first thing you saw was this police officer.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, this is great. Because, Dana was right. She's like, there's like over $1 million worth of equipment in there. You know what I mean? That's also got a street level resale value.
Big time.
No doubt about it. And, it was kind of cool to be like, oh, and it was air conditioned. It was a hot day. We were like, and I'm browsing like crazy because I love those stores. You know what I mean? But it felt good to have a cop there, and then you see and New York is funny nowadays because not only do you hear about the mass exodus of businesses and residents, right? But you see all these empty retail spaces now. Storefronts, just, so many square feet for rent, and this one's got a kitchen, and this one is like, you could tell it was like a flagship corporate, like a Nike store or something like that.
Not a little shop, like a big place.
Like, the whole corner of like one of these skyscrapers, you know what I mean? Like, and so there's a lot of that going on in New York, and
there's I think a lot of off-duty officers work as security guards or retired police as well. And those are some of the tricks. Des was mentioning the loss prevention. They say if you talk to somebody and make eye contact, they're much less likely to shoplift anything. So just little tricks like that.
Yeah, you're right. Who's
Well,
up next? Tom,
Who's
is that
next?
you?
wait a second. I just have a question
you
about
want
New
me-
York
Oh.
City. The
go
jewelry
ahead.
stores. So I watched something. I don't know.
What
Craig
the?
be watching YouTube videos and then I get forced.
Mhm.
So something about like when people rob jewelry stores, how they just go in there, whatever. So is it true? Have you, from your experience, that people have to like come in to a jewelry store that's like on the street? Like you have to come in one door and it locks, and then you go to the next door open, like it's a
I think
buzz-in situation.
I think there are some places like I don't go
Mhm.
jewelry shopping a lot in New York City,
Mm.
but I think I've heard that too, and I know some places are set up that way. I think I remember seeing maybe your husband saw that Adam Sandler movie, which was on
Yeah,
Netflix.
Uncut Gems. Yeah, we've seen
that
it,
was
yeah.
which was excellent. I
Mm.
highly recommend. It's one of the craziest, most frenetic editing jobs I've ever seen. Like it's just nuts. But I remember that was a big part of that movie. So I thought that too. I haven't popped into a lot of those places to be honest with you, in the Diamond District and there's some shady dealings going on.
Mm.
You look at some of these places, you can't believe like it's a high-end diamond place,
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, if y'all don't want to stop getting your shit broken into, you can come to the Midwest because
Doesn't happen.
nah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Not
it
in a
happens,
not in a small
but
town.
not on that scale. I mean, Wichita's not as small. I mean, Kansas
No,
City's not
Wichita's
small. I
not.
mean,
No, I know.
But you
Kansas City
guys
is
got like
huge.
BTK and stuff though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah,
people are
hardcore.
scared of
It's
each
just-
other.
Just one crime at a time.
Okay.
Mhm.
Speaking of BTK, they was out there excavating his property a couple weeks
Really?
ago. Yep.
Wow.
Apparently this girl in Oklahoma, they're like trying to connect him to like her murder. But
Wow.
I don't know about that because I'm pretty sure BTK would have been like, yes, I did that, or
Right.
But the house
Nope.
is gone, right? They already
yeah, his
demoed
house
the
is
house.
gone. Yeah, it's just a lot. It's weird. You just
Man,
You
walk by
would
this
think they
lot in the middle
they
of a
haven't
neighborhood.
like dug that thing all the way up by now, like
You'd think they would have.
every inch of it.
You know what you would think that under his hidey hole of a shed he's got like a tunnel, but I don't know. He's a weird guy, and I
Yeah,
don't
that's-
understand how that wife never went into the shed. I just don't get it. I don't understand.
Hmm.
You tell me not to go somewhere,
That's
I'm
where
just gonna be
going.
like, okay. 10 minutes after you leave for work the next day, that's the first place I'm going.
That's
is
where the
the-
Oreos are, man. Yeah.
I mean, unless you were like, hey, don't go in that shed because there's like a big ass spider
Spider.
infestation. Okay. All right. That is a legit reason.
Yeah.
Or like wasps, snakes, maybe.
Or
Other
his-
than that, just, hey, don't go in there.
I say my
I'm
comfort
going.
alligator is out there in the
Yeah, like-
shed, so don't go out there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice
you got to give
callback.
me a legitimate reason that it's believable. Or I'm going to investigate.
Yeah.
Or
no,
like his kid, like-
if there's a murder house around Desiree, it's going.
Mm.
It's like Scooby Doo.
Mm-hmm.
Should get to the bottom of it.
Nice.
What do you guys
Who-
got next? Anything or did
Is
you want
Tom
to
up?
come- Yeah,
Tom's up.
Tom, you
Is
got
mine?
something else?
Yeah.
Are we wrapping up? I thought mine was kind of a feel good. I thought we might close with it, but
I got one
Mm.
more. I got at least one more.
you got another.
What do you got, Mike?
I got a quickie.
Well,
Tom, you want to save it?
do you want to
Yeah.
go now, Tom, or
no,
He
I
was
think
Go, Tom,
gonna
go.
close it
it's
out.
kind
with
of
it.
a good
Okay.
humored sort of.
I got a quick one. So
Okay.
I found out that one of my neighbors, and she lives like a mile and a half from me, just became senator from California.
Oh yes.
She's a Maryland resident. She
Oh.
voted in Maryland's elections last go round. She is the head of the Emily's List PAC. They've donated like $850 million to the party candidate. So I think that's how much it costs to get a Senate seat. But
Yeah, I
anyway,
get it.
so Maryland has 3 senators now, which is pretty amazing.
Now this is
Laphonza Butler.
right,
How
and
does
that
that
was
work?
that's
I
the
just-
Yeah,
Gavin
because then
Newsom thing.
so there's like an odd number now.
So on her Twitter or X profile, it said like Maryland, and then that's gone.
It
The
changed.
next
it.
day, it changed.
Change it very
And she
quickly.
apparently like has bought a house in California now, and that's her
Oh.
official domicile.
I mean,
now.
just now. I mean, don't you have to live
Just
there
now.
a certain number of years?
Apparently not.
Yeah.
Apparently not.
So how did she like get elected for California?
She didn't get
Senate seat?
elected. She got appointed because
This was
Dianne
remember Dianne
Feinstein.
Feinstein. Yeah.
Dianne
passed
Feinstein
away.
exited the stage. So
Yes.
she got
She
Laphonza.
DC'd to JC.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
just procedurally, this was a person hand selected by Gavin Newsom, allegedly,
Yes.
right? Okay, so
Mm.
But the
that's
thing
his
is, if you're
gig.
a California resident,
Yeah, how you feel?
how
Yeah.
can you square that? I don't care how much of a party hack you are. How is this representation? It's and the whole thing is Gavin Newsom for weeks leading up to this, because no one knew Feinstein was going to die, but they thought she'd be,
Quitting,
not
retiring.
make it.
Right.
But he was like, whoever I appoint, it's going to be a African American woman, and she can't run for the office when it comes up, when the term's over. She just be a fill-in. Well, that just went out the window. Like he nominated or picked her, and it was like, yeah, if she wants to run, that's fine. So now in California, they've got a Marylander for their senator now. It's just bizarre. But
Yeah,
Somebody
it's
from
not-
a
this is
teeny
this
ass
is the part
state
that's protecting
or a
democracy.
big ass
everybody.
state
This is what?
Well,
doesn't know anything about the people there. Okay, that makes.
I think
more
she
sense.
may have lived there because she was an assistant to Kamala Harris,
Kamala.
yeah.
She was like an
The-
advisor
the
to
hyena.
Kamala, I think.
Well, she was a campaign advisor. That's right, Tom. She was, with the very successful Kamala Harris for president campaign.
That doesn't qualify you for
No,
crap.
it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
But the fact that she voted in Maryland, she listed it as, she's a resident. She lives in Silver Spring, Maryland. So again,
we
like
know Hillary was
like
a
a mile and a half from my
senator
house.
from
What?
like
Well,
New York, right?
Yeah,
So
right.
you
Hillary,
but
Hillary
they
Clinton
lived
did it.
there for a while first.
And she ran. She was
Mhm.
the electorate voted for her.
You
Yeah,
can at least
right.
put commercials on TV. Hell, I don't know if half these people actually live here. They look like they do. Their commercials, filmed in the middle of a farm. Might be Kansas. Who really knows? You can live here for 2 days.
I'm just saying, for the
When you-
rest of the country that hasn't realized it yet, there's Washington, D.C., and they don't give an F about the rest of the country.
Right.
And they all
Mhm.
live here. Even your senator from Kansas, I bet she has a house here. Adam Schiff lives in or not in Silver Spring. He lives in Montgomery
but
County.
that's because they work here, so that
Um,
I can kind of understand that. So
but
while they're
Schiff-
here, they need someplace to live.
But Schiff
Sure.
is a representative outside LA. He has a nice house here in Montgomery County. He has a 1-bedroom apartment in his district in California.
Oh, gosh.
Wow.
Just the technicality of
Yeah, but
being a
this is
resident,
like
I guess.
Liz Cheney. She never was in Wyoming. She was here in McLean, Virginia, right across the Potomac. That's where she lived. She would go out to Wyoming once in a while. I'm saying it is
Seems
different.
like some
It's
laws
changed
need to
over
be
the
changed.
decades. Anyway,
So
so Tom,
nice.
we're
No,
ready
it's
for the
not-
feel-good story.
Oh,
It's nice.
I had one more.
It's a little club, of insiders. She's Kamala Harris's campaign advisor, and now she's a senator from California. It's a joke, and and if this was another selection just based on race and gender, what does that tell the country too? Like, that's all that matters.
Yeah, and like I said, whatever, more power to him. I'm not a Californian, whatever. I'm just saying, to me, Californian voters look like complete idiots right now. To me, if they're
You
not
saw how
open
well
arms about it.
that worked with Kamala.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, it's really worked out.
why would you want to repeat that process?
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
I had
I
a
have
couple other ones, but if we need to wrap up, then we'll go to Tom's.
one of the representatives from Kansas, we're friends. I forgot his name already for some reason. I can't remember his fucking name.
All right, good friend of yours.
I know he was at my wedding.
Right.
Well, I know.
Oh,
Of
okay.
course.
That's
His
good,
name's
friend.
Mike something.
Yeah.
Mike's
Yeah. Mike Lindell.
Okay.
Mike
No.
Lindell.
Also, who's the guy that runs the FBI? What's his name? Mike. Shit.
Oh,
guy.
Christopher Wray.
No, not that guy.
No, you mean the guy who's head of the DOJ?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, the little squirrely looking guy.
They're all squirrely.
Yeah, Mike. What's the guy's name? Not Mayorkas, but the guy's
The guy that was going to be on the Supreme Court.
Yes. Yeah. Why can't we think of his name? This
He
is
doesn't
terrible.
answer any questions.
Right.
Garland.
No,
Merrick
that's not.
Garland.
Garland.
Oh, Merrick Garland.
Are you talking about James Comey? He used to
Nope.
be the FBI.
Not Merrick
Yeah.
Garland.
Damn it.
Is it the
I'm gonna
younger
think of
guy?
this. Maybe it's this the C.
Christopher Ray?
I
you
don't
look-
know.
Oh, you're looking up your own rep.
Did he
That's
go to your wedding?
No, not this guy that I'm talking
Oh.
about. Maybe it's this Central Intelligence. What's that called?
I think 12.
Oh, the
I can't
CIA?
say it.
The CIA. Maybe that's it.
The head, like Clapper? No, he's not head of the CIA anymore.
God
Oh,
damn it! I
yeah.
can't. Why can I not remember this guy's name? I
William
don't know. I'll think of it in a
Burns.
second.
William
All right.
Burns. He's the director of the CIA.
His name's Mike.
All right. Anyway, what's the
What's
story?
Yeah,
the
he's
story?
Mine. This has nothing to do about anyone named Mike, but
Okay, good.
What was that whole conversation
Not
for?
about Mike at all.
I don't know. Because sometimes senators and representatives and stuff do live and come back
Where
to
they're
where
supposed to
live.
be. I got you. I'm not
Well, they should.
saying they have
That's the
some
moral of the story,
residences.
not the guy that runs the FBI. That's now his name's Mike.
I'm
Mike that
sure
run-
some do, but a lot don't. A lot don't.
Yeah. Anyway, so my story was the eclipse is coming up. There's an annular eclipse.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Isn't it going through your?
No,
Area?
it's actually going
I was thinking of going to
Like-
Ohio to see it.
down maybe through like New Mexico and like Texas a little bit.
I
Is
think
it
it's
the
going
same-
from like Texas up to New England. Like,
That is
through
that's
Ohio.
the next total eclipse.
Yeah, in next
That's in
spring.
2024. This is the one this one is like next week.
Oh my goodness!
Is it
but
the
it's not a
same
total.
time when the emergency alert system goes off?
Oh, it's the 14th. So no.
Now we've cracked the code.
Everything goes dark and the alert starts going off.
Oh,
Um
fun.
yeah, so we're gonna be in like maybe the annular eclipse is just it's smaller. So the more of the sun's on the outside
Yeah.
than the total
Mhm.
eclipse. Oops.
You get that corona.
Yeah, there's not really a corona going on. There's
Virus.
like more, maybe just like more. But yeah, we're gonna be in like maybe 80% darkness here. Y'all are gonna
Cool.
be because
Mm.
it's really neat. Did you guys see the last one?
Yep.
Did it go through you guys' area at all? I don't remember where.
I don't know
when
if
exactly.
it was in like 2017 or 2016.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think. And I mean, I was in Fairfax, Virginia, and I think it was like 80% or 75%. It was still very bright, but it was like dusk. It was like an hour before sunset is what it looked like. Except
The
it was,
weirdest
like, the
part-
middle of the day.
So there was like crickets starting to chirp and stuff.
Oh yeah.
When it was
Oh,
really
oh.
strange. Yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of the weird.
Those things always piss me off because you always hear these. They're like, oh, it's going to be a great meteor shower tonight. It's going to be like
Yeah.
fireworks in the skies. You better go out and see. I'll go out there. It's like completely overcast and
Yeah,
cloudy.
yeah.
Son of a bitch.
Light pollution.
I never get to see anything.
Yeah,
Man.
so it's gonna so watch out for that if you guys are close. You guys aren't. I am. Huh.
When is it? Tomorrow?
The 14th.
Okay. 14th. So that's 11 days from now. Okay.
Mhm.
Hmm.
All right.
Well,
I'm gonna go out and look at it.
And I
Okay.
use that
Gonna-
on my kids and say, if you don't do
Maybe
this
get
or
those
that,
glasses, those eclipse glasses.
I'm going to make the
Yeah.
sky go
Do you
dark.
remember when they was selling the fake eclipse glasses last time?
No.
Oh, okay, yeah, they were selling
That's
like
pretty rotten.
yeah.
that's
So
terrible.
actually, so my son's school they bought like a bunch of them, like so all the kids could go watch the eclipse, right? But then they had got the message that some of them might have been fake because they bought them on Amazon basically. And so they couldn't really guarantee like the authenticity of these glasses if they were really going to burn your eyes or not. And so the kids couldn't wear them.
Were they like old X-ray glasses from like Acme?
No, you know what they look like? You remember when you used to get
Amusements?
like the 3D glasses that like popped out of the cardboard and like in the popcorn package or
Yeah,
something?
those
That's what they
are
look
great.
like. I just looked at it. I just looked at the shit.
Yeah, get the
Like 2
binoculars.
2 seconds. It's not going to burn my eyes.
Yeah, once
were
it's
in-
kind of just the ring of the sun that you can look, right? It's just kind of like leading up to and after that.
I mean, one should never look at the sun, I guess so it doesn't really matter. Don't ever look at it.
Yeah, it's not good to look at.
Maybe
it.
put some sunglasses on.
Okay, well,
I don't
don't
know.
listen to me, kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not
I
good
was
for your
telling you to look
eyeballs.
at the sun, but
We're just staring at the sun.
You know how big the sun is?
Big. Real big.
Gigantic.
1,000,000 Earths would fit inside the sun.
Damn.
How many
That's-
meatballs would
That's a fact.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know, a lot of meatballs.
the bad?
So many
A lot of
meatballs.
meatballs.
The sad thing always, well, the woman, her name was
Mike
you know, the
Pompeo, y'all.
leader,
Oh,
Fucking
Mike
Pompeo.
Pompeo.
Yeah, he's
I know that guy.
legit. Yeah,
Well, he was
I
Secretary
actually
of
know where
State.
he is.
Secretary of State.
Was he Secretary of State? Whatever. That's the same shit.
I know, it's all fine.
Director of
No,
CIA.
This is my
Secretary of
favorite
State.
The director of the
episode.
CIA, whatever.
yeah, he's another Trump traitor, if I recall. At least Trump says so.
Yeah.
The sad thing
I
about
think he's
looking
kind
at
of a
the
tool,
sun.
but go ahead.
What?
Remember back in the age of exploration, they'd get these young boys to come on the ship with them, and they'd have them. I think it was called the sextant, and you'd have to look at the sun to get your bearings. So they get these kids, and they'd have them read and like put it up to the sun, and
Azimuth,
they'd
yeah.
always like lose their eyes and go blind.
Wow.
But they just use these kids and toss them
Wow.
aside. It's kind
Yeah,
of
you
sad.
shouldn't
That's
look at the
really
sun.
sad, man.
That's terrible.
Yeah, those
get
You
to
can't
the
for
new
like 2
world.
seconds. Just flip.
bastards.
You get to the new world, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, it's the new world! Look how beautiful it is!" And the kid's like, "I can't see it," because
How's
he's
it
blind,
Terrible.
and he's the one that got him there. It's tragic.
Anyway, what was your feel good
Anyway.
story, Tom?
Yeah, what do you got?
This is
Don't
like an
stare at the
old
sun.
school episode. This is like
Yeah, it
this is
is
a
old
throwback. This is a
This is
throwback
like-
episode.
This is like the boiling frog, which is one of my favorites. It's a
Yes.
good one. The frog in the pot of water episode.
Well, it's a half feel good, half feel bad story, but
Oh,
baseball.
well, shit, you tricked us.
Baseball.
Yeah, now that I
Baseball.
think of it,
Yeah.
baseball. This kind of came out. Brooks Robinson passed away a few days ago. I don't know if you
Yeah.
heard, guys. I'm a big Orioles fan, and Brooks was one of the greatest third basemen of all time.
Yep.
The human vacuum cleaner was his nickname.
Mm.
Now, I'm not that old that I was watching Brooks when he was playing, but I remember him more as a commentator and analyst and things like that. But he was always a great guy and one of the best Orioles.
Mr.
And-
Oriole.
And not only that, but the Orioles themselves are AL East champions this year, and the playoffs started today.
Hmm.
And the O's, I think, have a pretty good chance. Now, granted, I'm a bit of a fair weather fan this year, I must admit. I haven't watched all the games, but now all of a sudden the playoffs are here, and I'm like into it. Now, like I didn't do anything all year long, but now I'm ready to dive in. But I've paid my dues over the years. I have
Yes.
to tell you,
Yeah.
I've been a big Orioles fan. I used to listen to them like religiously. I used to love to listen to them on the radio
I used to
back
love
in
that
like
too.
the 90s when John Miller was the
Mm.
play-by-play guy. He was great. Chuck Thompson had just Chuck Thompson had aged out. He was the guy that would always say, "Ain't the beer cold?" And then Joe Angel, I think, took over for John Miller when Miller went to ESPN. I don't know if he ever really took off there. He doesn't have a face for TV, but he was great on the radio.
No, Miller did very well.
He
I
went
think,
to
with
the
ESPN
Giants.
for a while.
Oh, he's
Didn't
at the
he-
Giants now. He went to
Didn't he-
ESPN for a while.
Yeah.
Tried to do like the weekly games, but I remember I loved to listen to the game on the radio like every night. This was
Sure.
back when they had like Greg Olson was the closer. They had Mike Mussina and Big Ben
Mm.
McDonald and Brady Anderson, and Cal Ripken was there, of course, the Iron Man, breaking the record for the consecutive streak, and Mickey Tettleton and all those guys. Yeah, so I've paid my dues. I've done
Yeah.
a lot of Orioles games and following them for many, many years. They haven't done much to speak of. I think they've made the playoffs. Here
97
and
was
there.
a good year. 97 was a good year.
Was
that
that
was
the
the why
time
not?
they went and played the Indians in the playoffs? I think.
Yes, and I think they had gone wire to wire.
They've
That
had
year.
they've had some times here, and
In
they've
first
also had
place.
that one year where they started out like 0-22, and Billy Ripken and the whole team was just down on their luck. They haven't won the series since '83,
Mm-mm.
which I think
Wow.
was Cal Ripken's rookie year, and
Yep.
Eddie Murray and Rick Dempsey and Jim Palmer and Scotty McGregor and all those guys.
Lowenstein.
Gary Renicky and Mark Belanger. They had a good crew back then. But so I'm excited that the Orioles are doing well. They're in the playoffs. I want to say, I was trying to recall, and maybe you remember, Mike. I thought Brooks, and maybe I'm confusing him with Boog Powell, but there used to be this TV show that would come on like every Sunday, I think, like on the weekends, where they would talk about the Orioles baseball. They'd play the song of Orioles baseball.
Orioles Magic?
Was that what it was called?
Orioles Magic.
They had that host, I can't remember his name. The guy, he would just kind of laugh a lot. He reminds me of who's that late night host that just laughs?
Jimmy Fallon.
Who?
Jimmy Fallon.
Yes, where he just kind of laughs all the way through.
He laughs himself. What's going on?
That's what this guy would do. It was like one of the local Baltimore stations where
this
they
was
would,
in the 90s or the 80s?
I think 80s into the 90s.
Okay.
And I thought Brooks was on there. But yeah, I just remember Brooks was just a great kind of commentator, analyst. So I'm just having a lot of feel-good memories of coming up now, swelling up with the Orioles.
Who are they matched up against? Huh?
I think they have a chance. Well, they're
kind
of waiting because they're like the top seed.
Okay,
so the other teams are going to play first.
Yeah, the wild card. They're in the wild card round now, so the Orioles are relaxing.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think the Orioles had the best record in the American League.
Yep, 101 wins, man. It was since 1966, I think, was the last time they had over 100 wins. Something like that.
The series in '66.
Yeah,
I think they beat the Dodgers that year.
Yep, 4-0.
Like Brooks was
they
on
swept
that team.
them.
So
the only reason I know that is that's the year my parents were married. 66. Okay. That's the only reason I know that. I made for their 50th wedding anniversary. I made this whole video, and I had that in there because they lived in Baltimore at the time. So anyway.
So here's the real question: have you actually seen an Oriole like the bird?
Oh yeah,
sure.
Oh yeah,
they have those around there.
Yeah,
they have. Yeah. That's why they call them Baltimore Orioles. There's actually.
Well, they call it Kansas Jayhawks, and Jayhawks aren't even real.
No, just like Seahawks.
I
thought Seahawks were real.
And whatever the hell a Philly is, I don't know.
Probably a horse. I think it's a horse.
It's a girl horse, right?
Yeah, but is that what the baseball team's named after? The Phillies?
Yeah.
No, it's just Philadelphia. It's just short for Philadelphia.
I think it's just the Phil from. Well, do they spell it Phillis?
I think Phillies.
I think there's an E.
And how do you spell the horse Philly?
I think it's an F.
I don't know.
It's a Y.
I don't know.
Okay, so it's a different.
Well, the good news is with the Orioles is they'll have home field advantage through the playoffs.
Oh yeah,
which is nice. It's been a while. It's been never. Well, no, they've had playoff games at Camden Yards, but
you guys should go.
Oh, I'm going to, man.
Yeah, definitely.
How much does it cost for like a World Series ticket?
I don't know.
Crazy.
I mean, decent seats.
Probably
if I'm going with a bunch of people, I don't mind sitting in the nosebleeds. But if I'm just going with myself or one or two people, I usually get the seats around like $80 a piece, and those will get you between the bags on either side, typically somewhere, decent seat. But there's ones that are over 100 too.
Yeah.
Well, because I mean, going to the Super Bowl is like a lot of money. So I'm
sure it's more. I'm sure they charge more.
And Camden Yards is a small stadium to start with.
It's like 46,000.
So you've got the competition there. And I think they've lost some seats because they massacred the stadium. Did they just do that this year?
Where they did it last year.
Made left field like a lot longer.
Yeah, they took out some seats and made the wall higher.
Yeah. Which I guess it's worked because if you have
it really was a hitter's park. I mean, you know, for a long time. Anyway.
Yeah. All right, Tom. Well, good luck. Go Orioles.
Yeah. Go O's, man.
Go O's.
That was very enthusiastic, Jack.
Yeah.
Go O's.
Wait a minute. I'm a Boston Red Sox fan, and I didn't watch a lick of baseball this year, so I'm a little out of it. this
Yeah,
point.
man,
But
the Red Sox. I don't know what happened to them, man.
I
It's
don't
a
know,
disaster.
but I don't know, but
Were they in
you know,
last place?
I
I
don't
think they
know.
finished in
I
last
didn't
place.
follow a
They might
bit
have
of it
been.
this year.
Because
I
it's
really
like
didn't.
Because
it's like the
Tampa
Orioles,
and
Tampa, Blue Jays,
Toronto
New
also made the
York,
playoffs. So
Yeah.
those three, and then Yankees and Red Sox at
The
the bottom of
Stankies.
the AL East.
Well, I know that we have 4 championships this century.
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
far,
which is
so
amazing.
You've had
we're
your
doing-
share of success. So,
Yeah, we're
So you
doing
got the Red
okay.
Sox, you got the White Sox. How come you don't got like the Blue Sox and the Green Sox?
They used to have the Black Sox.
Black
yeah,
Sox.
my daughter was
Fox
asking me
Sox.
that yesterday because I was telling her it was on TV and
Mhm.
she was looking at the Red Sox, and I said, "There's another team called the White Sox." No, I didn't tell her about the Red Stockings because I
Mm.
thought that would get too confusing.
Wait, what?
The Cincinnati Reds, they used to
Right.
be the Red Stockings.
Your mascot's just a color? That's
I
dumb.
guess, or your mascot's a pair of socks.
At least it's an item.
Right. Yeah, not like the Cleveland Browns, which is what is that? It's
Also,
nothing.
poop. They're brown. Like taking the Browns to the Super Bowl.
That's how they play. So
It's
appropriate.
They don't play well.
All right.
All right, so are you guys ready to wrap it up? It's 11:30.
I think we're out of gas. We're on the side of the road with a gas can out hitchhiking
I had
right
like
now.
2 little stories, but we can hold off on them till another episode. How about that?
You ever hitchhiked
No,
successfully?
never done it.
I do have a hitchhiking story. My mom picked up my dad hitchhiking.
No,
That's
way.
weird.
in
That's-
1966.
So they had
Listen.
met. They had met because they went to the same school. Like, and they had like so they kind of knew
Is
of
that
each other.
hitchhiking? Is that count?
No. But then like a whole semester went by, and my dad's car broke down, and he was hitchhiking, and my mom picked him up.
Wow,
And it's history. Listen, my mom
that's
And the
grew
great.
up in the
rest is history.
60s. She was born in 1965. And so she grew up through that whole, listen, I am from the Bay Area. I grew up in Contra Costa County.
Mm.
The fucking the stomping ground of serial killer murderers
Oh,
and hitchhiking people.
Nice.
And just people just kill people all the time off the side of the highway. She hitchhiked in that. Can you believe that? I'm like, how are
Wow.
you even living? How are you alive? How am I alive?
It's
Yeah, the
simple
death
death
life.
wish.
Yeah.
I know, right? Well, you kind of probably didn't know it at the time. I mean, people didn't know these people were disappearing, but crazy.
yeah. All right, guys. Well, I'm glad I hopped on, even though I was a little late.
It's
Yeah,
okay.
man. Now I want to eat some chicken.
I know.
Yeah, it was very good.
Chicken.
It was very good.
All right, everybody.
All
Well,
right,
we will see
guys.
you next time. Maybe we'll
What you
have
bucking
Zeus
a
back.
chicken?
I don't know.
Yeah,
And
I don't know when's Zeus ever coming back.
he's transitioning.
Yeah,
That's
we got to
what
give him
told
some time.
everybody. Yeah,
That's
got to
what we
give him
told
some
everybody.
time.
Oh, I'm looking forward to him coming back if he's transitioning. That'll be good stuff.
Toodaloo,
All right,
everyone.
guys. Yeah,
Take
peace
care.
out. See you
Peace
next
out.
time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.